Ding. All right. So today we're going to be talking about dating older women or women that are outside of their prime. And listen, everybody has their own preferences, so this is not a blanket thing about. Um, this is not. It's just to go against kind of what, not to go against, but this is to clarify things I've said in the past about aiming for a woman half your age plus 7 or a woman younger than you. I made it very clear that that has to do with breeding practices. This is um, a form of natural eugenics, right? You pick a younger partner as far as a female, if you're a male, especially if you're a man who has means, who has wisdom, who has social experience, who has mobility. You want to always pick younger because your children will be healthier, generally speaking. Now, there are some women that are older that come from certain ethnic groups that do just well having children in their past their prime. So in this video, we're actually going to talk about the importance of dating women in their past their prime or marrying a woman past her prime. We're going to talk about what is a woman's prime. We've already talked about that, but we're going to talk about that again in a little more clarity. So older women beyond their prime might be the kind of woman that an apex man needs. So you may want to date a woman that is older. You may want to date a woman that has children already, literally. And I know in the red pill community and the manosphere community, it's very strongly geared away from older women, away from women that already have children. And there's a lot of good reasons for that. Again, with natural eugenics, not Nazi or early 20th century American versions, but natural eugenics, meaning we want to improve the species, we want to improve the genetics each generation. So you do want to choose younger women, women under 30, a good couple of years under 30, if you're aiming toward bringing babies into the world. But again, I digress. So it's very common for society to kind of denigrate or push down women that are older and give them the impression that they are worthless, right? Now, again, what I'm saying is it's subtle. It's subtle. It's not like they're openly saying you're worthless. They'll do worse. They'll say, "You go, girl. Oh, you're so beautiful. You're 50 pounds overweight and you're 50 or 45 and you've been a spinster your whole life." That is a direct attack in a subversive way. And so this whole feminist movement, body positivity movement, it's all bullshit and lies. It's a way to tear women down. But women, unfortunately, don't have the to get it, right? Because of how women are conditioned. Now, an apex woman gets it. She's going to take care of her body. She's going to marry young and have kids young. But if she's an apex woman and decides to be a spinster and not have children, these are the kind of women that do need to have relationships if they want them. So when I talk to young men who actually want an older, wiser, more intelligent woman, which most men don't want. Men don't want a woman that's more intelligent than them and wiser than them. They want a woman that's younger and more submissive, especially when they're wealthy. It's just hands down. There's a rare egg out of these men that want a older, smarter, powerful woman. Very few. Okay, very few. Most of these guys are guys with mommy issues. But let's get in the chat. All right, JC Wacy says, hello, haha, welcome, welcome. Angel Star, welcome back. And Philip sing. Philip says sing. Not singing today, bro. All right. I do have a beautiful voice, though. All right. So anyway, in this video, I want to say you never overlook women that are considered beyond their prime. So today, we're going to talk about what is a typical prime for a woman, right? Why you must date a woman that is older or have a long-term relationship with a woman that's older and has kids. This is not talked about in the red pill community because they're not apex men. They're just trying to be alphas. And they're losers. I'm sorry, not all red pills, but there's a lot of that bullshit in the community. And then we're going to talk about personal preference, why it matters. Older women can actually be better for you, especially if you're an apex male. All right, do some sick-ass solos on guitar. Don't have a guitar? Angel Star. Two YouTube banned me yesterday, LOL, I apologize. What? I'm sorry to hear that, Angel Star, but welcome back. Severed Official Band says, no, dude, do some guitar. I just did some air guitar. Okay. Bulldogs 37. It looks like a laughing happy face. Okay, Kit Kat. While older women are not looked upon as man's ideal, they have many better qualities. Excellent, Kit Kat. You got it. We're going to talk about those better qualities today. As a matter of fact, Kit Kat, drop some qualities you think are exceptional about older women. and we'll talk about it. Angel Star said, I posted that website you mentioned yesterday, and they took off. Oh, probably because of the master race or something like that. Sorry to hear that. Uh, there's a bunch of idiots on the other side of the algorithm. They're worthless gummy worms, so don't worry about them. Anyway, so let's talk about what a woman's prime is first and foremost. Because this is Apex Humanity, we're talking about things that are objectively observable. But you got to understand that you can always decide the way your life is going to function. You can always decide the direction you want to take. So, what's a woman's prime? We're talking about SMV, sexual marketplace value. Man has sexual SMV, and a woman has an SMV. Okay, and so SMV just means your marketability to the opposite sex for reproductive purposes. So for a woman to have a high sexual marketplace value, her age has to be low, her attractiveness has to be high, and her agreeableness has to be high. Those are three things for a woman. For a man, it's the opposite. Usually a higher SMV male is older. He's in his 30s to 50s. His attractiveness is like, it has to be there, but it's not a number one thing. The top three qualities for a man's high SMV is money, power, and social respect. Those are the three things. You see the ugliest toad-looking motherfuckers out there, and all the girls are jumping on them because they've got, three commas in their bank account, or they have lots of social mobility, or they're celebrity, they have, or they're businessmen with lots of social mobility. So SMV for males, SMV for females is different. There's a reason for that. Men want younger women with higher attractiveness. Why? Because that subconsciously, unconsciously suggests evolutionary stability. She's able to reproduce more effectively with the youth and more attractiveness. For the females or women, they want an older man with resources because if they intend to reproduce, which 95% of women intend to, especially at that age group, 18 to 28, they want a man that can provide for those offspring and provide them the ability to focus on rearing those offspring. So if you're broke and you're young and you're hot, great, but you don't have an high SMV if you're a dude. You can be broke and hot and a female, and you got the highest SMV in the world. All right, let's jump back in. All right. So, Asian Star said, oh, yeah, we told it. Kit Kat life experience. Exactly. That's one of the main things that older women offer to younger men. And we're going to talk about two of the most influential men on earth in human history who married or dated or lived with older women. I mean, significantly older, like 15 years older in one case. And this man is one of the most famous men on earth and one of the most powerful men on earth. Ability to give grace. Hey, that's huge. And also, thank you for that, Kit Kat. Kit Kat says life experience, ability to give grace. And she said, yes, it's evolution, in reference to what I was saying earlier. Ability to grace. Older women have so much power. That's another thing. Thank you for that, give grace. I'm going to talk about the power that older women have. Older women are extremely powerful. The most powerful people on the planet. Okay? They have spiritual power. More than just about any man on earth. Older women, that's why older women were almost wiped out. The exceptional older women, like high level apex older women, were considered witches, and they were almost eradicated, driven to extinction during the witch burning trials era. Hypatia was one of the greatest minds of human history. So was in Hedwana. These are the greatest women of history that almost nobody knows about. But Hypatia lived during about the 3rd century AD, and she was brutally murdered by the Orthodox Christians. One of the reasons I won't be an Orthodox Christian. But if you want to be a Christian, be an Orthodox. They actually know what Christianity is. Everybody else is full of shit, except for the Catholics. But whatever, let's get back into it. So Kit Kat said, yes, it's evolution. And then Angel Star says, there are some exceptions though, right? Of course there are exceptions. There always are exceptions. Apex humans are always the exception, by the way. You can be 55. Look, I've known 65-year-old women, 72-year-old. I've met some older women that I would drop kick some hot young women for in a heartbeat. As a matter of fact, the first woman I had sex with outside of my marriage, because I was a virgin and married my ex, and then the first woman I had sex with outside of her, she was my first. And then the first woman I said was like, I think she was like 10 years older than me, but she was Asian, so she looks way younger. I think she was like 43, 45, something like that, and I was 33. So, and she was amazing. So anyway, she was Vietnamese. So anyway, so yeah, a woman's prime is typically age 18 through 28, and that's just for breeding purposes, okay? But outside of that, that does not make younger women superior to older women when it comes to a lot of the feminine qualities, okay? So Why is a woman's prime around the age 18 to 28? And I say 18 because our age of consent in the United States is 18. In other countries, it's younger, and I think that's terrible. But women as young as females, or say young ladies, girls, actually age 16 and up, are reproduction ready, so to speak, with biological things. Like if you have cats and dogs and cows, they all have a certain breeding age, and females of the human species start that. It's younger, but I don't like to say that because it's disgusting. I think 18 is too young, but whatever. 18 depends on what culture you're from. Anyway, getting back into it. So why is 18 to 28 important? Best breeding. So this is the main thing. Men are looking for less competition intellectually. A woman 45 and up, she's gonna obliterate just about any man she knows. Like any man her age or younger. It's just hands down because she has so much life experience, especially if she has kids. It's you never argue with a woman past past 38. Like, I wouldn't even argue with a woman past 33. But they just have this. First of all, women's brains are more apt to the verbal communication ability. They've got that down pat, and their ability to be rational is much higher than males. A lot of people think that men are more rational. It's not true. Men are more logical. Women are more rational. And so, because rational is the ability to take data and recompute it, and women have that ability naturally much better than men, especially as they get older. So, never mess with the older woman. She'll run circles around you intellectually. All right. Younger women, the reason they're more desired is because they're more agreeable. The reason they're more agreeable is they have less life experience. They can't see through a lot of man's bullshit. They may be able to see it, but they don't have the courage to call it like an older one will. Also, younger women, 18 to 28, less independent. A lot of young women, they haven't developed a financial backing, a career, power, social mobility, so they're just weaker socially, financially, intellectually in a lot of areas. All right. So Angel Star says, yeah, there is section. Angel Star says, I can understand that. Prime reproduction and whatnot. I married my husband at 18. Yeah. Yeah. And how old was your husband, if you don't mind me asking, in relation to your age, Angel Star? And then Kit Kat says, amen. And Kit Kat says, he was 20. So 2 years older. All right. You speak the truth. Are you guys, if you don't mind me asking, Angel Star, are you guys still married? Uh, that's a big question. All right. And so the next thing is, why would you want to marry an older woman? Now, Kit Kat, let's see. Kit Kat already said life experience, ability to give grace. That's a huge one. We're gonna aim in on that one. And yes, of course, the young woman with evolution. Um, oh, good. 16 years of marriage. God bless you. Keep it up, Angel Star. I'm very happy. I know marriage can be difficult sometimes, so maybe it's rocky at times. But God bless your marriage. May it last for many years to come. Um, so why would an older woman? Why would you want to marry an older woman? A woman that's quote unquote beyond her prime? Because, like Kit Kat said, life experience, ability to give grace. So I'm going to talk about two super important, very influential men in history, Muhammad and Jesus. Both of these men would not have been who they were. Obviously, they were led by God according to their respective faith paths that came from them. But Muhammad was 25 when he met his first wife, Khadijah, who was 40 and already had children by another marriage, and she was a wealthy woman. If he hadn't met her, first of all, he never would have gone to the Christian when Jibreel, the angel, came to him and gave him the visions. So his wife is the one that helped to spur on Islam. Islam wouldn't exist without women. Without women, of course, Islam knows this, and Islam actually respects women very highly, even if you have some idiots. In every faith has its idiots, right? I'm not going to go into those people, but if it weren't for Khadijah, Islam would not exist. All right, let's just be with it. All right. So she had children. She was 40. She was 15 years his senior. Islam wouldn't exist without Khadijah. All right. Jesus, believe it or not, he had a venture capitalist. His ministry wouldn't have happened if it weren't for Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene was a wealthy entrepreneur. She was a woman who had lots of money. Okay, this is expressed in the Bible, but her age is not said explicitly in the Bible. But it is believed that Mary Magdalene was significantly older than Jesus because at that time, for her to have the kind of money and wealth she had and to contribute to his ministry, by the way, there was another woman that contributed to Jesus' ministry to help fuel his ministry, and there was also Nicodemus and Zacchaeus. But anyway, Jesus had people helping to pay for his ministry. Mary Magdalene was one of those investors. So she was a first century Judean woman who had plenty of money and could help his ministry go where it went. People think that she was a prostitute because she had money, and that's not the case. She was not a prostitute. All right. Yes, Angel Star said that's interesting. Kit Kat said, Angel Star, congrats. Beautiful. So these two people that a lot of people have followed, Jesus and Muhammad, a lot of people have used Jesus and Muhammad to kind of shit on women. And I get it to I don't think it's right. What I'm saying is I get why they would do that because they don't know these things. They don't know that Muhammad's first wife was 15 years older than him, and if it weren't for Khadijah, Islam would not exist. Christianity wouldn't exist. Jesus probably would have gone into obscurity if it weren't for his the venture capitalist, his investor, Mary Magdalene, who was not a prostitute, by the way. Everybody thinks she was a prostitute because she had money. It's not back then. Women were making money in other ways. By the way, Khadijah's family owned a business. She inherited the wealth and continued to promote the family business. She's the one that helped to keep the family business going, and that's where all her wealth came from. So, women beyond sexual prime may have a low SMV or sexual market price value. They like if they're 30 plus, that's considered outside of prime, right? A lot of women are encouraged to have children in their 20s, early 30s, the latest. All right. So we got some activity here. Yeah, Angel Star said thank you, and Kit Kat said Angel Star sent some love. I had no idea about these ages. Yeah, and it's like nobody talks about it, man, because one, they want to lie to women because there are women that want to have children, they want to have families, and they're like, oh, I'm gonna go and blast off like from age 18 to 35, and then when I'm 35, I'm gonna jump in the game, and it's like, IVF, and I used to work at an IVF clinic. I can't talk much about it because it was very high profile people that would go there, but yeah, it's not easy, y'all. Okay, so try and get that out of the way when you're young. Try to get them babies out of the way when you're young. If you're a man, don't be having babies until you're like 40 or 35. So for men, it's the opposite. Men's age of golden age doesn't start until they're about 35. Women's golden age ends at about 35. And it's that way almost intentionally because of the breeding practices we've engaged in over the last 6,000 years as a species. Molly M says, hey, I'm late. Welcome, Molly M. What do you think Mary? Oh, I think that I have to look it up. But Mary, look, there were lots of businesses that women were involved in. But it's very clear that she was not a prostitute because there's nowhere in the Bible where she was stated as a prostitute. That's like a revisionist type thing that happened 3 or 4 centuries after the Gospels were written. So the idea that Mary Magdalene was a prostitute is based on the story, I think it was Mark 11, don't quote me on that, but where Jesus saves a woman from being murdered because she was an adulteress. And they think that was Mary Magdalene, but there's nowhere in the Gospels where it says that that was Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene was actually one of Jesus' highest disciples. He gave her, if you read the Coptic Gospel of Thomas and some of the other hidden Gospels, he gave her the secrets that he didn't give the other disciples because she was older and she was a woman and she could understand the subtleties that the men at that time couldn't. And so the first century Judea, you still had a very strong pagan influence in the world, and the paganism is more of a feminine religion. And so I shouldn't say religion, but a system, religious system, because there's no such thing as a pagan religion. The pagans are so disjointed. They're like water. They're all over the place. So, all right. So yeah, Molly said yeah, and then Kit Kat agreed on that. Molly said yep. So it's possible that she was a merchant. Mary Magdalene was a merchant. Could have been a landowner. Trying to think, because women had certain industries that they dominated. I know in West Africa, in the Muslim world, women owned the land. American Indian tribes, like my grandmother, my dad's mother's people, they passed the land down to the women. The women were the ones that owned the land, and if you married a woman, I think it was a West African, like a Nigerian practice or something. If you married the woman, you were steward of the land, but you never owned it. It was always the woman that owned it. So there could have been those practices, but I have to do more research on that. So anyway, so why would you marry a woman that's older? Kit Kat said earlier, life experience and grace. We wanna hone in on grace. Grace and let me know what you mean by saying this. We talking straight facts. So Molly said we talking straight facts. So when I'm speaking of grace here, more patience for sure. Yes, Angel Star saying more patience for sure. Especially when you've had kids and your kids are like in their 20s and any of them were males. Um, there's a certain spiritual power that women have. God has given women, in geopolitical Christianity, the perspective is that God has given women dominion over sexuality, spirituality, and the unseen things. So, and that's just based on what the Greeks understood, the early Christians understood, and the pagans, the old pagans understood. Women were in charge of like the hidden things, the occult. Like think of the oracle at Delphi was a woman. The Eleusinian mysteries were facilitated by women. Um, a lot of the inner, deeper, even plant medicine experiences were often women run in Egypt and all of Kemet, in a lot of the ancient systems that you find in what's now called Africa. Women were in charge of those systems because of the deeper, almost like the deep dive into the earth. You know, black, the color black, or the chromatic value, black was associated with the feminine because it was limitless. It was eternal, like the universe. Like you look into the night sky and it goes on forever. But also the woman's body, her reproductive organs are in the darkness. They're inside of her. And so the whole idea was that God gave women dominion over those things: spirituality, sexuality, and the occult, the hidden arts, the hidden secrets. Why do you think the serpent, the Nachash, which is the serpent in the Garden of Eden, went directly to Eve? I mean, he talked to Adam, but Adam didn't get it. He went to Eve. Now, the Nachash, or the serpent, spoke to the Chava. And who was the Eve? The word Eve is Chava. It refers to the spirit, the inner part, the mother of all things, which is the inner self, the deeper part, the hidden part. And so the Nachash, or the serpent, went to Eve, Chava. And so there's a connection there when you look at ancient Jewish systems and you realize, okay, that was given to women. And that's why Christianity kind of went off the rails when it became patriarchal. I'm very pro patriarchy, but it did go off the rails when the Romans took over and used their version of patriarchy. But I'm very pro patriarchy. We need the patriarchy. All right. So Molly says, also, why is your name Kit Kat? Oh, she's talking to Kit Kat. All right, and then Kit Kat said, oh yeah, she's really, that's cute. Yeah, Kit Kat, give me a break, break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar. If you're old enough, you remember that one. Molly M said, oh, cool, okay. So, yes, grace, life experience. These are reasons that you want to get with an older woman you want to date or have a long-term relationship with an older woman or marry an older woman that has kids because of age, because she's independent. She has very high levels of spiritual power, and she probably already has wealth. She spent her youth building, and I mean, look, in a lot of cases, especially the vast majority of women that are multimillionaires or billionaires, they got that because they married a man who was wealthy when they were like 18, 20. He died, left the money to her, and now she's super rich. That's the majority of women. J.K. Rowling and Oprah Winfrey and other great women aside, most of the billionaire women's got their wealth that way. So let's say that you have a woman that's like 45. Her husband was 60 when he married when she was 20. He reached 80 and he died. And she's like, you know what? I'm not trying to have kids. I'm wealthy. I would like to have a sexual partner that is long term, someone I can enjoy, have a great conversation with, but someone that I don't have to look up to. Because if I'm looking up to a guy, he's going to be 60 years old. I want a younger guy, and I want a guy who's going to be loyal. That's an ideal partner if you're looking for that. Now, the spiritual power that an older woman has is huge. Even if she has no money, even if she's able to tap into a certain level of creativity and manifestation, that power, that flow that a lot of men don't have access to. Just kind of the way it's set up in nature, in human. Yes, sugar mama. Angel Star said, "Yeah, that's sugar mama." Some guys are into that, and there's nothing wrong with that. I tell you, I've met some women, man. I tell you, I would be so happy to be their little pool boy. But I do want to have children, so I have to aim for younger women because I don't want to date a woman long term and then terminate it just because. It's not how I do things. So anyway, uh, so both Muhammad and Jesus were financed by older women, women who believed in their path And if it weren't not just for the money that Khadijah and Mary Magdalene offered to Jesus and Muhammad, but the belief. It was almost like having motherly energy in a way saying, you can do it, you've got it, go for it, you're gonna do it. Now, Jesus, of course, had the disciples and he had a bunch of brother dudes, he had a brotherhood around him. But to have that feminine buy-in saying, you can do this, go out there and get it, is huge. So that's another big win if you're gonna get with an older woman. Why older women? Of course, we talked. Kit Kat talked about wisdom, life experience. They actually can help you fix your money issues, just especially if they have financial integrity and they have that kind of. If they're born on a eight, on the 8th, the 17th, the 26th, or the 28th, or the 10th, 8th, 16th, 8th, 17th, 28th, or 26th, they're probably going to be very good with money. So keep that in mind. Naturally, all right. Also, older women know what they want. They know what they want. So you're not going to get into a situation sexually with an older woman, typically. Okay, everybody's an individual, where she's going to be like, oh, well, I didn't really want to do that. I've been with older women. They're like, this is what I want. You ready to do this? Okay, let's go. Like they're not that straight like that, but they know what they want and they're not as wavering. A lot of times with younger women, 18 to 28, under the age of 30, they're not really clear. They get into the situation like, I don't know if I want this, and then they don't want to say no, and they go through it, and they're like, I didn't really want to do that after the fact. Which, it's better to be with an older woman if you don't have a very good eye for a woman's no signals. So, Kit Kat said, I'm middle-aged. I've worked diligently to make wealth for myself, but I have inherited wealth from my parents. Very good. I have invested that to have property in the future. Oh, sorry, prosperity in the future. Brilliant. Keep it up. Molly M says, lost $1,000. Oh, I don't know how you lost it, but I'm sorry. Yeah. Glad to hear that, Kit Kat. Are you in a LTR, a long-term relationship, Kit Kat? All right. And the angel Star said, do you think men gravitate towards that type of control? Are you referring to financial control, like money? Or having control which way? Because I'm unclear on that. Do you think men gravitate towards? Yes. Okay. Some men really. Okay. So it's two ways to take that. Like some men want to be controlled by a woman. Like they crave that. Like they really want that. They really want that. And then on the other side, some men want to control a woman. Like they want to be in charge of her finances and all that kind of stuff, which everybody's different strokes for different folks. Okay. It doesn't work for me. That's just not my thing. But there are men that need that. They need that. Okay. So I guess it could go either way, and it is an individual thing. So yeah, lead is the word. Yeah. Okay. Angel Star said, I guess lead is the word. And Molly M said, we be a single Pringle with this one. Well, I wish you the best in your journey. If you're interested in an LTR, again, a lot of women that are referred to as spinsters, big quotes, I don't know if that offends you or not, but are not interested in long-term relationships. They want to have fun, they want to enjoy the world, they want to travel, and that's perfectly fine. That's an apex female, apex woman trait as well. Speaking of which, I'm seeing a woman walk around with 3 daughters, Self-Arake and Coyote. Oh my God. Oh no. Yeah, that is the daughter. I was gonna say, is that her sister? Yeah, it's like 3 daughters, a little one that she's holding, and then a little bigger one, and then a little bigger one. Oh, so fucking cute. It's breaking my heart. They're so cute. All right, so yeah. Yeah. Kit Kat says, my ex-husband was very controlling. Don't let yourself be controlled. And it may not work for you. That may not, and it's obviously that didn't work for you. Yeah, obviously that didn't work for you. But some women love that though. I do know. Yeah, I know some women that love that. Why? Because there are benefits to being controlled. Same with men. You don't have to be accountable. You don't have to be responsible. If something goes bad, you can do like this. What happened? You don't have to carry the brunt of it all. But if shit hits the fan and you're the one in control, you got to eat it, or else you lose control. And so people in control tend to have to be very high on the accountability scale. So they have to own everything, man, because and so it's like, it's like Lego pieces. Everybody's find your piece that fits. Some people want to be independent with an independent person. And for them, that's an ideal. Like, I'm independent, she's independent, boom. We both come together. The only reason we come together is because we like each other, not because we need each other, just because we enjoy each other's company. And then there's some people like, I need a woman that's going to tell me what to do because I can't think for myself. And there's some women like, I need a man that can control me and tell me what to do because it's easier that way. I don't really want to think about that stuff. And everything is different strokes for different folks. So, yeah. And then Kit Kat says, and then you are completely out of control. Yeah, yeah. I'll say Molly M says, just smile if you just smile if you don't know what the heck is going on. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of people have to do that. So, but having an older woman, some men like they just don't have the life acumen to be able to move forward with strength in certain areas, not in all areas, in certain ways. And so having a woman that's wise about the world that can tell them what to do takes them back to mommy. And they almost kind of just jump down to that subspace where they're like, all right, what do I need to do? And then they can kill it. Because some people do really well being foot soldiers. Go do ABC. All right, yes, boss. And they just do it and they execute beautifully. So again, everybody's different. All right. And then Kit Kat said, if you turn everything over to one person, and again, it's different strokes for different folks. Some things work for some people, they don't work for others. So, but yeah, older women know what they want. And then sometimes they already have kids, and so they're not interested in having any more kids. And I think that's why I had to do this research, but I think that's why Muhammad ended up getting another wife. Because older wife Khadijah already had kids by a previous marriage and already had tons of money. So she was like, I'm done. I ain't trying to have no kids. She might have, but don't quote me on that. But I know he had other wives and other children. Molly says, some people are just a gummy worm. Thank you. Yeah, I stopped calling people worms because I was like, ooh, that's a little hard. So we'll call them gummy worms. All right. Angel Star said, haha, that's why my husband is a soldier. Tell him what to do. He'll get it done. And see that. And this is one thing in the Muslim culture I noticed when I was in Egypt. So yeah, it's patriarchal because it's Islamic, but it's really not. It's still in Africa, so there's a large matriarchal influence there. I went to this one village where my family's name originated. And I went there, and all the men were just kind of like scattered around or whatever. And when I got there, they led me to this one big mama, you know, and I wanted to see a specific set of ruins where Plato's grandfather went. It was my family name comes from this one place. And I went there, and she wouldn't let me go in because she's a matriarch of the village, like the whole area. It's in Sal Hajar, in Sais and Besayun, and I had to beg her, man. I was like, I'll give you my phone. I'll do whatever. I just need to see this place where my ancestors came from. And she eventually relented and like called two young men over, come over, in Arabic, and told them. She took my phone, and then they led me over to the ruins of this ancient site, which has not been excavated, by the way. It's a hidden site. You won't even find much of it online. But anyway, so in the Muslim culture, I'm saying all that to say, there are women that still run things. And what I found is in Islam, they say this. I learned this from many Muslims from all over the Muslim world. They say the man is the head in the relationship. The man is the head, but the woman is the neck. And so it goes back to who's in charge. The head can't do anything if the neck doesn't say, the head can't point you that way if the neck doesn't agree. And so they're saying basically, it's like they have to work together. You can't have one without the other. And when you think about it, the neck really has a lot of power. And so that's how a lot of the Muslims have explained it to me. And I've seen it where a man will come in and say something, and then he'll be looking to see what the women do because he needs to still be the authority, but he needs to make sure that it's landing with them. And if it lands with them, he'll go through with it because he gets their buy-in. So oftentimes there's an illusion of authority, an illusion of masculine authority. Not saying that it shouldn't be there. Masculine authority is still important. But, feminine authority exists. So, yeah. Kit Kat says, unfortunately, you can end up with a narcissist and you can have to reclaim your life. If you end up with a narcissist, I guess it is what it is. You just drop that person and they go and find someone else to be their victim. All right, Kit Kat also says, that sounds like a fascinating journey. It was a powerful journey. Molly M says, we call other things invasive. We are invasive. Yeah, we calling other things invasive, we are invasive. And Angel Star says, reading the room. Yeah, I noticed that because this. Yeah, I just noticed that with the men. And the men. Oh, anyway, I'm digressing. But the men will typically in the more conservative parts of the Muslim world, excuse me, in Egypt. Let me speak for Egypt. The men will segregate themselves and they just do their own thing. Women will segregate themselves, do their own thing. And when they come together, it's usually around, sometimes around eating, sometimes around like evening tea or something like that. But it's usually family. But I noticed the happiest teenagers I've ever seen were in Egypt and in Latin America, but primarily Egypt, hands down, because the boys and the girls were separate. So there was not a lot of like that weird stuff that happens between teenagers where there's like the sexual attraction, but there's a social stigma, and there was none of that. It was just the guys hung out together, the girls hung, and the happiest teenagers I've here in the U.S. The teenagers look like they've been slapped in the face every time they're on their phone and they look sad. But in Egypt, especially in southern Egypt, all throughout Egypt, the teenagers were just happy, full of energy, excited, like just there was just a vivaciousness to them, a life to them I have not seen in the West. So I think there's something to that. The girls were just as happy with their cute, with their little hijabs, walking around, just beautiful, you know. So yeah, yeah. So yeah, older women have wisdom, experience. They can help you fix money issues because they have that experience and knowledge and wisdom. They also know what they want. Very clear on their yeses and nos. Typically, again, everybody's an individual. Also, often when they're older, especially beyond 40, they're not interested in having any more kids. Also, they can finance your dreams the way Jesus and Muhammad had their dreams financed by women. If it weren't for the older women in their lives, we wouldn't have Christianity. We would not have Islam. All right, we wouldn't have Islam if it weren't for Christianity. So anyway, personal preference matters. Society pushes men to get women of equal age or younger. And that's probably not the best way to go about it. If you want to have children, I would say, men, get older, get your money, get your purpose, and find a woman that can help you build an empire, especially if you want to have kids. Now, if you are an apex male and you're saying, okay, I want a woman that doesn't necessarily want to have kids, but is going to help me build an exceptional empire, consider very strongly a long-term relationship with an older woman because of the wisdom, her feminine power, her ability to manipulate the spiritual realm. And when I say manipulate, I mean her ability to mold and shape it, because God has given women dominion over that. And all of these other things, wisdom, all of the other stuff I mentioned. All right, we jump in the chat. Why did the skeleton not climb the mountain? Because he didn't have the guts. All right. Thank you, Molly. All right. So, yeah. So, it's probably not to the best interest of an apex male if you want to. In Islam they say half your age plus 7 if you're gonna have kids. Now, if you're a 20-year-old, wait, get your life together first, dude. Get more mature and then have a family. But if you want to have kids, you want to have family, and you want a woman who is not going to give you a lot of pushback, you're going to aim for a younger woman. But if you want a woman that's going to challenge you and going to say, hey, look, that's a stupid idea, try this instead, or what do you think about this, or I did this, or my kids are, they're going to have all these wisdoms and influence and that sort of thing, go with an older woman. Sexual marketplace value is important because it pushes men and women evolutionarily. Okay, we do need younger women and older men building families. Older men have life experience, they have money, they have all that stuff. Younger women have the physical robustness. That's not a real word, but they have the physical ability to have children with more ease. Okay, and then of course, apex humanity, geopolitical Christianity honors the fact that everybody's an individual. Everybody has their personal preferences. You may want to go for an older woman because that is what God has for you, and that's actually better for you in the long run. So that's what I have to say about that. Let me jump back in the thank you, Molly. Thank you, Molly. Thank you so much. Molly said, I love the time that you offer to us. So thank you all for joining. This was a more different, because I usually talk about apex masculinity, all men, that. And I'm like, well, we do have to be intelligently balanced in our discussions. I always say that God has given women dominion over spirituality, sexuality, and things that are hidden. the occult, the hidden things of this universe. And like, especially if you're a spiritual man, you definitely want an older woman on your side. There are some young women that have unusual abilities that are just like unusual. We'll call them psychic abilities. Um, they're extremely rare. They're extremely rare. Um, just like just like young rich men that are hot. Like those are extremely rare. Most young hot dudes don't have no money. They're not. They ain't got not much going on. So that's a rare kind of a thing there. So anyway, let's see. Thank you so much, Molly. Thank you so much, Angel Star. Thank you so much, Kit Kat, for joining. I really appreciate y'all's input because it really helped the discussion. And there'll be more discussions like this in the future. But yeah, I'm not a feminist. I stay away from that. But I have written extensively on reviving the feminine aspect of spirituality, um, for a more balanced and intelligent approach to spirituality. Because if it just is on the surface, which is what moralism and legalism is extremely masculine. Nothing wrong with it, but it is lacking the depth of spiritual knowing that the feminine aspect of religion and reality brought at one point. And of course, women have their BS too. I'm not going to lie that women have figured it all out. I'm not promoting that ideology, but I think we do need to bring the feminine back into the structure. That's why I came up with Geopolitical Christianity. So anyway, check out the website, www.apexhumanity.org. Perhaps don't put it on your YouTube because it's getting warm in here because it's hot outside. Perhaps don't put it on YouTube because there's a term. I have an entire page called the Master Race, and that's going to trigger a lot of stuff. I'm just talking about the 5 master races. All of us are descendants of the master race. Okay, we wouldn't exist if we weren't. But there are 5 master races, and you can check out the website if you want to know more about that. Anyway, that's what I have to say about that. Thank you all for being here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Women's, men. Let's see. Women's, men, and women's. What? I don't know what that means, Molly. Women's, men, and women's. Women's, men, and women's. Anyway, women are great. I really do love women. I really do love women. I gotta get back involved with women in depth. I've been very superficial with women. Like I've had women at 18 like this, but I think I'm ready to jump back in the pool. We'll see. We'll see. I like women. I like women's. I'm not gay no more. Never was gay. But anyway, thank y'all for being here. God bless you guys. Get out there and be Apex.